in my professions, I could just be wrong and still keep my job.
Or just have a porn star name.
Would you like to expand on that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, meteorologists, we looked it up. First off, by the way, it is Monday, January 3rd, and we were expecting snow at like 5 a.m. until God knows when. It just started snowing at like 11. 6 hours late. Oh, be aware of your morning commute. All these kids' schools are going to be delayed. Nothing. Meteorologist median pay in the United States is $77,000. If you get an order wrong at a McDonald's, you could potentially lose your job.
Okay, relax.
I
mean, only if you're already an awful employee. I mean, no.
You sure?
Somebody making them. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it happens all the time.
I don't eat beef, but you gave me a cheeseburger instead of a McChicken. I ate beef. Now I'm mad, and it's against my religion. That starts something pretty serious, right?
If you got a cheeseburger and you ordered a McChicken and then
and
you were
ate
like,
it and you didn't realize
it,
it's not. I'm just saying, and it's 2022. Would that be the most surprising thing you heard on a daily basis?
The thing is, if
No,
you're
it
going
wouldn't
to
be.
McDonald's, you're fully liable for anything that happens because you have to go in expecting that all the possibilities are on the table, which that would be one of them. But yes, it wouldn't be asinine to happen in this year.
I would say
However,
I agree with Andrew. I don't think you would be fired if you messed up one order. I think you would already have to be.
I don't know. There's
Unless
no
your
unions
manager-
protecting those employees. Where's the McDonald's union when we need them?
I didn't expect this is where this was going to go, but
You're welcome. I
It's
brought
a
it here.
weird left turn.
yeah.
You're welcome. Essentially, I would love if meteorologists could read the weather better. That's their job description: is read the weather, tell me what it is, and we're all happy. Instead, it's read the weather incorrectly, tell me it incorrectly, and we're all wondering what the hell are they doing.
Yeah, so that what other occupation allows for that margin of error that regularly to be
Pollsters
accepted?
over the last
Fair.
last elections, couple of election cycles.
They're not really part of society, though. We don't really accept them.
The fact that this MSNBC head pollster guy does NBC's football,
Oh, was it
whatever
Steve
his name is.
Carnacchia?
Oh,
Or-
he's horrible.
I just
He's
hate his
horrible.
look.
He has a bad look and he has a lisp, and I know and it's not a huge
Does he?
deal. Okay, if he doesn't, there's something there. There's something there that makes me not want to watch it whatsoever.
Right, fair enough.
But they're mixing. Go ahead,
Vinny would
Sam.
be upset if you're
Yeah, no
dissing
kidding.
lisps.
No kidding.
What'd you say?
Vinny would be upset if you're out here dissing the lisp.
No. It's people who are in positions where I'm watching them on a TV screen on a consistent basis, and then I get so distracted by their lisp. It's fine if you have a lisp, just don't distract me with it.
I like how you came in red hot with he's got a lisp, which isn't that big of a deal as you're like.
Well, it's
on
not.
fire.
It's not a big deal. It's just.
I love how this
we're
started
talking-
with
How does this guy?
Okay, the way that he walked in this morning, I'm actually not surprised that this is going this way.
This is true.
What are you guys talking about?
You didn't have any pants on. It was weird.
Oh, that's right. How did that happen? I must have lost them in the elevator.
And then you almost had your wallet reorganized.
Yeah,
and
which
that almost
which
sent you
absolutely
over
would have ruined
frickin'
my
edge.
entire day. I haven't shared anything yet. Give me a second here. So essentially, give me your take on meteorologists. You haven't said anything. You've been sitting over there.
Oh, it's just funnier no, because you're so strongly opinionated about them. I mean, I guess I share the
They
sentiment.
make $77 grand a year to
make
do
way
their
too much
job
money.
wrong.
Also, we looked it up. I guess it only requires a bachelor degree, which we kind of thought it was going to a little bit more needed to be invested in order to get that kind of money for that kind of inaccuracy on a regular basis. I don't know. I'm always really impressed though because they're pointing at green screens.
Or
So
That's not that impressive.
I don't know, man. If you screw that up, I mean,
I'll play a little
lot to
devil's
write.
advocate here for you.
Perfect.
yeah.
I'm here
What
for
if we
it.
have to give them the benefit of the doubt because they do have to have a weather forecast by a certain time, and at that time
Ooh,
it's
deadlines.
semi-accurate.
Mm.
But the weather,
Changes.
Never changes.
changes.
Nope.
the weather is
The weather
never changes, huh?
That's a change.
It's always the same thing.
Well, you could say that about. I just feel like there's a lot of jobs out there. You could report on something in the news that changes 5 minutes after you report it, and no one gives. I mean,
I guess that's fair.
and reporters get absolutely roasted on social media for doing that. No one's I feel like meteorologists don't get enough flack.
Weather-
That's all I'm saying.
That's true because
be
people
crazy.
do plan their days and their activities depending on the season around these weather reports. So that's why people get as angry and upset as they do is because
Exactly.
it directly or oftentimes can directly impact. Yeah.
All right, we're all in agreement. I'm right. All right, welcome to the locker room number 72. I'm your host, Justin Reed, alongside Andrew Tenney. We're here in the Holly Mason building. It's snowing outside, in case you were wondering. All right, you're up.
Okay. I just want to tell you guys about our little birdie friends over at LuckyBird. Favorite sponsored, Spokane-based e-commerce and digital marketing company dedicated to helping local companies scale in the online world of e-commerce and digital marketing. Visit luckybirdbrands.com to have a down-to-earth, no-pressure conversation about your digital marketing and e-commerce strategies. Ooh, look at that. What do you think?
Remember those Meat Canyon videos you showed me? Reminds me when you put Bugs Bunny up
Oh,
there.
God. Those were, like, deeply disturbing.
Oh,
that actually...
Those are honestly some of my favorite videos.
I
Because they're
introduced a few
so
people.
horrible, but they're so funny.
I introduced a few people to them this week, last few days. They are freaky, and I don't like them. All right, number 72s. No Mariners. Give me some Seahawks here. What do you got for me?
Shell, who I guess is going to be replaced by Jake Kern going forward.
appears so,
I don't think we're bringing him back. Also,
is
Jake
super
Kern's got
interesting.
one of the bigger muffin tops I've seen on a Seattle offensive lineman in recent memory. Just like the proportions. Heavy top, skinny legs. It's always a strange look. You know, like teams that have candy-ass uniforms. Like I would say the Seahawks sometimes, depending, obviously the action green. I would say the Dolphins have candy-ass uniforms. The Bengals, if they're bad, are pretty candy-ass. But anyway, anytime you see a big offensive lineman, just a huge gut, and just red, squishy arms in those sorts of uniforms, I'm always like, man, why can't you just wear like the Steelers colors or something? That's a lot more complimentary to, that sort of aesthetic.
You attacking his body image?
I suppose I am.
Wow.
This is 2022.
Wow.
But
What are we doing? What are we doing, Andrew?
you're
Come
right.
on.
Luckily, this guy's good at football, is all I'm going to say.
he seems to be all right. I mean, there was actually buzz about him. I don't know if you remember, but in the preseason and in training camp, and then
yeah.
he was just not to be heard from again until
No, and he was horrible
whatever,
in his
a couple
couple
weeks ago.
spot roles when we had to come in for like a couple plays. But then he's been good. He's been solid since he's actually been playing on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, and anyway, sorry. Michael Bennett, MB,
Yep, there you go.
Moses Bread.
God, I hate Michael Bennett, but I loved what he did for Seattle. But he's just the worst.
I just remember Super Bowl 49, Chris Collinsworth being like, now Michael Bennett's going to jump offsides every time on third down. I was like, man, few people in the national media understand this, but thank you, Chris, for pointing that out because you're not,
Right.
Do you remember how that pissed me off more than almost anything at the time with that team in particular?
What? Okay, yeah.
No, just like the smaller things that, you are just sick of, like, It's something different every year, but Michael Bennett dropping offsides.
He did do that a lot.
Those were the only two that I could really think of.
So my buddy Geiger, whose house we were at for New Year's, asked if I was butthurt coming in. I don't think that was the case. I think I was just,
You
just in a
seem.
different mood. It's all coming
What's
together.
going on? Do we need to talk?
It's all coming together.
You know, it's 2022, new year, new Justin. He's coming in a little more somber, a little more forward thinking.
It was just big brain year.
You've been spending a lot of time with your mental health. Is that what you're down in the dumps?
just reflecting. I got some cool, some nice.
Okay,
books.
someone just got shot.
I would like to
outside or
say
something.
there has been sirens going off and on for about 7 minutes now, and it sounds
Well, let's see here.
like it's the end of the world as we know it. But you know what? I feel fine.
Let's go ask your friendly neighborhood meteorologist. I'm sure they'll know. South Maple,
Actually,
commercial
did-
structure fire.
I had
there
a
it is.
don't look up-esque dream last night.
Good
Very
movies.
unsettling. Yeah, but very
enjoyed that
unsettling.
movie.
to wake up.
It's right over on 400. Oh, it's right
it's
right
a fire
there.
truck.
Yeah, it's over there on Maple, right by the global building. I don't care. Not me. All right, Rejected Penny's also here, hanging out. It's nice to see him. All right, anyone else you can think of?
Not really.
What about good old Robert Gallery?
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
Now, he was
Wow.
supposed to be a guy who came
was
in
supposed to be.
from the Raiders with a little bit of background with Tom Cable and was supposed to be a mauler, and he was trash. He
Yeah, he was
sucked, which is surprising because he was out. It's the Seattle effect. You know?
No, I think it's the Tom Cable effect. I think Tom Cable got too much praise for a few too many years in Seattle. I mean, it is one thing to have your team or your offensive line gel over the course of the season, that's all you
Right.
can help for, especially if there's a lot of turnover in the offseason. But at the same time, for however many years, what is it, 6, 7, 8
That he
years
was
he was
here?
with the Seahawks. I mean,
Yeah,
the fact
probably.
that every season they weren't able to put anything together until, I mean, I'm exaggerating.
Well, I mean, he kind of did. I mean, the Super Bowl offensive lines were exactly what they needed to be.
Well, because we had Unger and Okung, and when they were healthy, they were
Marshawn was helpful too.
right. Yeah, yep.
Robert Gallagher was bad.
man. See,
Al Wood,
he looked candy ass in those Seahawks uniforms because he wasn't there when we changed them in 2012.
right? Al Woods
Oh,
was
yeah,
72
he
his
was.
first time around.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, Brandon Shell. Actually, one more, Joe Nash. Actually, the best number 72 in Seahawks history. Joe Nash. To give you some ideas with what he did, he played his entire career with the Seahawks. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Seahawks. I didn't realize he was undrafted. Wow. So, yeah, he was part of the whole team that had Cortez Kennedy, Jacob Green, that whole
Okay.
conglomerate there. We talking sports today? Rejected Penny wants to know. I think so. We're getting there.
Weather
We're spinning up there. We'll get
was
there.
actually the A slot.
I have a buddy from Alaska here, Gianni. He's Italian, living in Alaska.
Do you
Seems
know
kind of weird.
him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right.
You
Let's-
should ask him if he's seen House of Gucci.
Actually, why would he?
Italian.
Oh, well, he'll respond if he's actually paying attention. He'll respond.
I was just listening to a review of it last night. Tom Segura and his wife on Your Mom's House podcast, and it was hilarious how upset they were about the accents.
Vinny said it was good.
Of course he did.
I don't respect Vinny. Vinny likes the prequels.
I like the prequels.
All right, we're done.
All right. So WSU played this weekend, or a few days ago, I should say, in the was it the Sun Bowl?
Yeah.
Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against not Miami, and they got clobbered. I know they
played Central Michigan.
I know they only lost 24-21, but they sucked in that first half.
It's because their head coach didn't go on. Pardon my take.
He doesn't know what House of Gucci is. So
Okay.
sorry to
Ridley Scott. Ever heard of him?
My issue with the Cougs, it's not an issue. It's unfortunate for Jake Dickert to have that loss right after he got his extension.
Yeah.
It sucks.
See, I'm just fully I fluctuate with my position with the Cougs, and now I'm on full I just want the worst for them.
Oh, because of the whole
Rolovich
Rolovich
thing. Mostly, I
situation.
don't like their AD at this point.
There's a lot of Pat Chun.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people out there who are not happy with the way that the situation was handled in Pullman and talking about the distraction that Rolovich had when all of the players are saying the opposite. That's my favorite thing,
I know,
actually.
I know.
Is when every single person is saying one thing and then the media comes through and says the other. And it's like, well, wait a second. Like, for instance, and we'll talk about this in a second, like the whole Russell Wilson situation. Everybody in the media is like, yeah, there's a lot of feeling that he wants to leave. But then, like, Jake Heaps, his buddy, who he's really close with, said he has no interest in leaving. That's not the plan. That's not the goal. And everyone who's actually close with the Seahawks are like, we don't really get that feeling. Like, yeah, he's not super happy with what's going on, but he's never actually officially asked for a trade. And yet the media is like, yeah, this is probably his last home game in Seattle. And they're like taking videos of him on the field. Probably his last time on the field. That's why he's spending so much time out there. It's like he does that every week. But it's like, it's just so frustrating. Going back to the Sun Bowl, when, and Rolovich, the whole situation, it just didn't seem like, I don't know, the players seemed to be happy with Rolovich, and they're going to be happy with Dickert because he was already on the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
The Sun Bowl was a very unfortunate end to a halfway decent season that was full of a lot of change, and a quarterback in Delora who's coming into a system that he was familiar with but hadn't been the guy.
I will say I do like Delora.
Delora
For what it's worth.
Delora had a very good end to his season. Unfortunately, got hurt in the Sun Bowl there. But another big problem with what happened in the Sun Bowl there was that WSU had 3 guys opt out of the bowl. Max Borghi, Abe Lucas, and Jalen Watson all said they would not play due to a potential injury affecting their future playing status at the next level. Obviously, there were issues, Abe Lucas being probably the larger of the 3 because WSU's offensive line was absolutely ran over time and time again. One of the reasons why Delora actually got hurt was because of that sack, or almost sack, that he took. The big hit that he took ended up not allowing him to come out for the second half. But Max Borghi, obviously, a potentially third down back in the NFL on a consistent basis with his pass catching ability and his shiftiness. Not an every down guy.
No, the Patriots will pick him up in like the 6th round.
And he'll be a Rex Burkhead stud for them, probably.
I would go Danny Woodhead before I go Rex Burkhead. But
well, it's only because Rex Burkhead's active is probably why I picked him. Who'd you say?
Danny Woodhead?
He's not going to be Danny Woodhead. Danny Woodhead was a pure wide receiver.
Danny Woodhead?
You're right.
Amendola.
God, I'm having a rough
Dude,
morning.
I don't know. I've
I'm
never
having
seen
a
you
rough
like this.
morning.
I've never seen you like this.
Yeah, this morning's been weird. Probably because I was expecting snow when I woke up. It wasn't here.
That's really just gonna be your main point all day.
I'm definitely stuck on it.
Anything
for sure.
bad that happens today, it's because he was expecting snow.
Those damn meteorologists.
Public enemy number 1.
They ruined my week.
He went from the number 1 LeBron hater to number 1 meteorologist hater.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring in meteorologists every week. LeBron's in the show this week. So.
I was gonna say I brought him back too.
Yep. So
we could both sense that we were due for LeBron.
We definitely were.
Like
so those guys opted out, and I hate it. I hate it.
There could not have been a more predictable take coming from you.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand. I've never understood it. People talk about guys getting hurt in bowl games, ruining their careers. I've never seen an example.
Jalen Smith, Notre Dame, he ended up still getting drafted. Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
Willis McGahee, people always talk about, same thing. He got drafted, if I'm not mistaken, still in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens with Matt Corral.
But I think he just sprained his ankle, though, right? But still, could still affect the draft status a little bit. But, there are no examples of a player getting drastically hurt in a bowl game where it affects their draft status to the point of them either not playing ever again or getting drafted so low that they never had a shot at doing something special. I don't get it. You sign up to play college football, and that includes the postseason, in my opinion. Especially in this day and age with NIL, and you're making money on the side. It's more of college football now is more of a job than it ever has been before.
Okay, so I think this is one of the things, just kind of like the conversation circling the NIL. I think it varies on the player. Even though it's not my favorite thing in the world, I will agree with you on that. Typically, I come down on the side of, hey, you guys should probably just play because why the hell not? And this is supposed to be for your school, and your school's getting money for this and because of this, and you're a part of that. And yeah, you play. I can understand, though, especially high-profile and highly touted NFL prospects not wanting to. Okay, it seems like there's a cool factor surrounding it, too, especially now that we've been, seeing this for 5-ish years, really. I mean, pretty prominently. I don't know if you would revise that number.
Yeah, that's about right, probably.
But it does seem to be within locker rooms I'm kind of the shit, so obviously I'm going to the next level, so I'm not sure I could be seen on the field in January with you plebes. There is an element of that. I obviously don't know how much, but Danny Cannell was talking about that on a podcast I was listening to last week, and I mean, he's super plugged in, he knows everything there is to know about college football, and I do think that's a piece of it. Like I said, I do understand, even though I probably wouldn't choose it myself, I do understand people holding themselves out if they. It's a business decision ultimately.
Might as well just hold yourself out the entire year. Why do you draw the line at the last game of the season? Why not the last 2? Why not the last 3?
Fair.
It's really odd to me that what happened, and this isn't going to happen because it's completely different. But that is on a similar scale to saying my team, actually it happened in the Rose Bowl for the first time. Players opted out. I think 6 Ohio State players opted out of that game.
Yeah.
That's the Rose Bowl. That's not the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
What would it be like if, let's say the Seahawks, I'm just going to make up a completely hypothetical situation. Seahawks made the playoffs at 7-9 like they did in 2010, and players are like, well, why are we even playing in this first game? The Saints just won the title. We're going to get destroyed. Why risk my future career for this one game?
Yeah, I don't think that hypothetical holds up for a lot of different reasons. But
it's similar. If you're a pending free agent who's expecting to leave and you're a high-end free agent, let's say Seahawks didn't really have anyone super good that year. That's the weird part.
I know.
But let's just say Russell Wilson was there and he had been here for 5 years and he was in his prime. and he was going to be off the Seahawks. Like, it just, you can see the correlation where it doesn't matter what game you don't play. Like, football is such a dangerous sport. You're going to get hurt or you're not going to get hurt. It just doesn't make sense that they pick the last game of the year to be like, nah, not interested.
I wonder, too, because I feel like bowl season, especially since I was a kid and started watching college football in elementary school, bowl season has been absolutely watered down by the number of bowls, by the number of teams that participate, and by the record of so many of these teams that you're essentially being rewarded for a mediocre season at best. So I wonder if just the oversaturation of bowl games and the lessening of the experience, it's not like, oh, this is a nice cherry on top for the season that we've had. Oh, let's go spend a week in Miami for, whatever bowl game, and let's have fun. Let's do this. Let's enjoy, one last hurrah as a camaraderie of this particular group of guys for the season.
Right.
Now that that's not even close to what it has been in decades past, I wonder how much that contributes to the overall the view of the players when it comes to the bowl games.
Right. I also think an oversaturation of bowls has kind of lessened, for instance, Sun Bowl. There's a lot of bowls out there that nobody cares about because it's just two non-Power 5 teams playing each other,
right?
Which is fine and
unless you're a degenerate gambler that is betting on every single one of these, then you take every bowl game that you can get. However, for just fans of college football or just fans of the sport in general,
it's not helpful.
There's not a lot of intrigue. Yeah.
Right. So my main thought is injuries are so volatile you can't predict them. So choosing to sit out, especially a game like the Rose Bowl, I can see more of an argument for the Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
But if we're comparing the Sun Bowl to the Rose Bowl, the college football playoffs, anything like that, if you sit out of those games, it's just super odd because it's the last place for you to really showcase your skills and talents. It's the most recent game tape that teams will have for you, and the difference between being a top 5 pick and a top 20 pick when it comes to money is actually very large, or between a first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick, and showing off on the biggest stage with the most eyeballs, because again, that's going to impact other teams thinking, well, if they saw that, then that's going to move that guy up their draft board, which means he needs to move up our draft board as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of reasons for guys to play these games, and when they don't, I think it hurts both them, their teams, and the fans who expect to see the best quality team on the field.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that is the flip side, is viewing it as an opportunity rather than viewing it as, something that could potentially capsize your career.
Right.
And, I mean, Jadeveon Clowney literally, he would have been drafted in the first round at some point regardless, but in that Outback Bowl against Michigan, that defined his entire draft stock, his entire career.
Put on the tape of Jadeveon Clowney, that's the first play you see.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the only play you see. But, I'm glad that you brought that up because that is the other side. It's like, well, actually, no, if you bet on yourself, essentially, that's what it is. Yes, it can do wonders for your stock, and it has for players in the past. And
yeah. So essentially, I'm upset about it.
Yeah, I know. I can understand it, especially for the higher profile players. I get it, but
still weird.
I don't like the trend, and I don't like that it's also leaking down to players that have no business really, making those sorts of decisions when you're not as good as you might think, dude.
Right.
Sorry.
I agree. All right, let's stick with football here. You picked the Lions, I just heard a few minutes ago.
Sure did.
How do you feel about that pick?
Well,
the Lions have won
I felt pretty good. Okay, to Seattle's credit, I think this is the largest margin of victory against the Lions this year. The Lions have played everybody extremely tough.
They've played a lot of teams tight.
I think they've only played one possession games. So I think to Seattle's credit, they might have the largest win over the Lions this season. So wasn't really expecting that.
Yeah, there's 9, there's 2, there's 10, there's 2, there's 8, there's 10, there's 1, there's 6. That's Packers, it doesn't count. 10. Eagles stomped them. But other than that, that was a 44-6.
That was a long time ago.
But there's a tie. There's 2. There's 2. There's 4. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of close games splattered out throughout that schedule. Yeah, still surprised with sans Jared Goff that you would think that the Lions had even a shot in allegedly Russell Wilson's last home game.
Did come off a loss to Matt Nagy and Nick Foles, so I don't think
the
it was
Bulls?
that.
That'd be interesting if they played the Bulls.
Did I not say Foles? Matt Nagy and the Foles?
It definitely sounded like Bulls. That's
Okay.
why I thought you said Bulls because Chicago.
Yeah, no.
I swear. We're going to have to watch the tape. I swear you said
Okay.
Bulls. But, well, yeah, that's true. Nick's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
You're right. That's true, but it's the Lions. I picked the Seahawks to win 33-13, I think, is what I said. It was a showing, and again, it's against the Lions, so you have to take it with a grain of salt, but it was exactly what the Seahawks offense should have looked like this entire season. Tempo, misdirection, attacking all levels of the field, a strong running game, and just a very wide variety of play calls. It looked really good. And again, the Lions, while only winning 2 football games, is still an NFL football team. It's hard to blow teams out in the NFL. It's very hard to blow teams out in the NFL.
Yeah, and the Seahawks haven't done it in like 5 years.
You're right. I know. This is the most points Seattle has scored since 2012.
Right.
And
and when was the last
wild.
time even that they've won by 3 scores? Because they've technically had 2 scores of games. They had one against the Colts, which was 12 points earlier in the season, which was like, oh, okay. But, I mean...
They just like to allow teams to make it interesting.
Well, so, and I was thinking about this over the course of the week, and I kind of think this is my latest theory and take on Seattle. But since, I don't know, 2016, 2017...
Probably 17.
Most of the games that they win, almost all of them, I mean, how much of a headache was it hearing that, oh, you can't win a game until the 4th quarter anyway? It's like, oh, my God, yes, but you can also help yourself out in the first 3 quarters. And we had so many come-from-behind wins. We had so many one-possession wins. We had so many wins where we blew early leads and then had to sweat it out down the stretch. And the margin of victory over the past few years has been pretty low, especially for that winning of a team, putting up 10-plus wins almost every year. So I think just kind of by the law of averages, I think it finally caught up to them, and it flipped on them, and it went the other way. And looking back on it, it's not surprising, and it was inevitable that something like this was going to happen because of the way that they had been winning in 2020, in 2019, 2018. And then again, there was some funky stuff in 2016 and then 17 when we missed the playoffs. So I kind of think that's my latest view on what's kind of happened. And that's a more broad and general thing. Obviously, there are all the specifics and the details and the players and the personnel and the scheme, coaching, all that stuff. But just the type of football that they've played was not sustainable. And the fact that they actually were able to sustain it at the rate that they did is pretty miraculous.
And it was the Russell Wilson effect.
Yeah.
A lot of 4th quarter comeback wins.
Yeah.
And essentially just saying, hey, Russ, go win us this football game. By the way, yes, the College Bowl playoff semis are usually on New Year's Day.
Okay, so what the hell was that?
I don't know.
What the hell was that?
That is unfortunate. I actually don't know. That was odd. Don't worry. Sun Bowl was played on New Year's Day. They got stomped. And then they ended up making a comeback. But, yeah, no, I agree. Seattle is in a spot this offseason. So, and I didn't tweet this because I wasn't sure what the final MRI results would be. But Bobby Wagner may be added to the list of dominant Seattle defenders who have to leave their final game as a Seahawk due to injury. Cam, Earl, Cliff, Michael Bennett, sort of. He was kind of hobbled. He didn't really play.
Richard. Right?
Sherman. Yep, yeah. Sherman was up there. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of guys who have, and it's a violent game. And Bobby plays the game very violently. He was the last guy who.
You could tell too. Did you watch what happened to him on the play live?
Oh,
I saw it as
ugly,
it happened.
Yeah.
To be honest, I kind of thought it was going to be a groin thing. The way
so
that he did
He's
the switch.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I guess it's a sprained knee as his MCL, or not his MCL. It's a sprained kneecap essentially, like the muscles or ligaments underneath his kneecap are sprained or strained. I don't know, depending on what exactly it is. But not sure if he's going to play this weekend. He has no guaranteed money on his deal next year. He's a cap hit of $20 million, which is 9% of the cap. And I don't know if that's 9% of the current cap or that's looking forward 9% of the cap that's moving up by 20 million. I think it's 20 or 40. It might be 40 million. Anyway, whatever the cap's going to be, it's going to be a lot larger than it is this year. Cody Barton played pretty well yesterday. Again, it's the Lions. You have to take essentially.
I was going to say Cody Barton looks good against bad teams at least.
Right, that's
I've seen him look really bad against good teams though.
I think Jordan Brooks is a starter in this league. I think he makes enough plays that he's a starter. But Bobby, I almost feel like you look at re-signing him, you restructure his deal. I think he's at a point in his career where he would restructure his contract to get guarantees by bringing down his cap number and by bringing down his overall salary.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be what? Well, he was drafted with Wilson. He's going to be 34-ish, right? 33?
Jeez.
He has to be.
I guess.
I
think he was
he'll
younger
be
than
33.
Russell, yeah, okay.
He'll be 33 this summer. He was younger because Wilson was a senior coming out. So you bring him back if you can restructure his contract. I don't think you bring him back on his current deal. Thoughts?
This is also difficult. I'm pulled in a lot of ways as it pertains to Bobby, not so much Russell, but I don't want to put Bobby through another year like this, and especially as, his prime is essentially ended. Like, he's still playing like the best linebacker, but
he still plays at a very high level.
He really does, but relative to what he was, in his peak.
And his actual prime.
Right. He's not that guy anymore, but he's still one of the best linebackers in the league, and I kind of want him to have a KJ Wright opportunity. Obviously, he's not going to spend any time not on a team. Like, whether he's with us or we trade him, he's not going to be looking for a squad.
It's not going to be like KJ Wright where you took a long time for him to find a job.
Right, but I don't know. I would really enjoy seeing Bobby end up with a contender and, being a solidifying factor for a defense. And off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody, that's a contender right now that needs like a middle linebacker. But a lot of teams I know could use him, and I would I'd be very okay with seeing that for him. And my heart just broke for that kid all year, especially before the defense kind of, pivoted and started turning things around. It was just like, oh man, I can't imagine what. Yeah, just getting up every day was like
kind of right. Just kind of looking at KJ Wright's numbers this year. So he played. He hasn't played very much.
I was gonna say he's had very limited snaps.
He only has approximately 50 tackles, probably closer to 40. He did play 100% of the snaps a couple weeks ago. The game yesterday, he played 46% of the snaps and only had 2 tackles. Last week, he played 31% and had no stats. That's just weird. Because he played really well last year, so I'm kind of surprised that he's not doing kind of a little bit better in the opportunities. He played 100% of the snaps and had he had 8 tackles. That was his best game of the year against Cleveland where they won. It just seems weird for KJ, but I just wanted to bring that up. So back to other Seahawks stuff. We kind of mentioned some of the free agents, but Dwayne Brown's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Do you bring him back? Let me give you 2 things. Do you bring him back on his terms, or do you bring him back on Seattle's terms, or do you not bring him back at all?
I don't think I think you move on.
Okay.
I don't think that they're going to be contending for anything for the next few years, and I don't see what the reason of bringing him back
So
is.
you don't think...
I would rather develop someone like Stone Forsythe if that is going to be the next guy that's in line to try to take over that left tackle job. Unless we get a left-handed quarterback, then it's all on Jay Kern.
Then it's not back on
also,
Jay Kern.
So if we trade Russell Wilson for Derek Carr, just hypothetically, does that make us any worse?
I think it would if you don't upgrade everything else. Russell Wilson covers up a lot of...
Think about what Derek Carr's working with. His best weapon is Waller, who hasn't played a lot this year, and Hunter Renfrow, and
Renfro's done very well this year.
No, he hasn't done very well. But he's
another one of those small white receivers, so I don't respect him.
Knowing everything about you, I can't believe that that's how you feel about small white receivers.
It's just I don't like them. I don't like small white running backs. I just, for whatever reason, I think because they look like they shouldn't be there. Really though, right? Like you look at big offensive linemen, you're like, you belong in the NFL.
Yeah.
Or you look at quarterbacks. It's like you belong there because you're supposed to be kind of a dweeb. Like running backs and wide receivers are supposed to be skilled. Like Adam Thielen looks like a wide receiver.
What?
Like Adam Thielen looks like he should be a wide receiver.
You mean physically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Based on physical appearance alone.
Mm-hmm. But doesn't it make it that much more impressive and respectable that they are?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Anyway, someone threw that trade out, and I was like, you know what? Not against it.
Derek Carr cried on the field in England when the Seahawks sacked him.
I respect Derek Carr a hell of a lot more than I respect Russell Wilson.
Has Russell Wilson ever cried due to a sack?
Not until the offseason.
Sort of fair, but no tears were shed. Publicly. He may have been crying in Sierra's arms, but not publicly. All right, we got a question. Russell Wilson is why Tyler Lockett works.
That is fair.
True.
Yeah.
And that keeps DK available too. Derek Carr probably wouldn't keep Tyler Lockett as available as Russell does. That's very true. And Tyler Lockett is in Seattle for the long term with his contract situation. I would agree with that. I think Tyler Lockett, as well as Doug Baldwin, were both made better by Russell Wilson's antics.
Antics. Whoa. Okay. So I agree with the Lockett part. Their chemistry, it is what it is. It's unique. Yeah. It's however, I do think that there are other quarterbacks out there that would get more out of DK in the way that we could use him.
Well,
it was kind of like my theory back when Geno Smith, looked like, oh, okay, maybe we could do this for a few weeks.
Right.
And we saw that pretty much play out. It was DK Metcalf that it was targeted a lot more than Tyler. Tyler fell off the face of the earth. So
right.
if we get a taller quarterback, DK is going to be better.
The thing with
someone
DK
that can throw over the middle of the field.
Well, so they were bringing up good points. Someone has been saying that the reason why Russell Wilson doesn't throw over the middle nearly as often is because Pete Carroll has instilled him that that's the most dangerous part of the field to throw the football to, which is true. It would make logical sense that Pete's like, I want to stay outside the numbers because then you're dealing with a lot more one-on-ones. The chances of a guy intercepting a ball one-on-one is way less than throwing it over the middle of the field where you're throwing it within 5 different guys. So maybe that's where the philosophy needs to change because you look at what happened here against the Lions. Wilson attacked the middle of the field pretty darn consistently all across the board. Have it be DK, have it be Gerald Everett, have it be our boy Uncle Will. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Perfect example, white tight ends. They look like they should be in the NFL. Jacob Hollister didn't really enjoy because he was a small white tight end. He didn't look like he deserved to be there. Just the way it is. So, anyway, back to what my point here. I think Russell Wilson and DK have that chemistry. It was just a matter of, first off, Wilson couldn't make those throws because of his finger. And you can't tell me it wasn't his finger because he was missing throws, and he's still occasionally not nearly as much. He's still missing throws that he never missed before. And I'm going to side on the side that he has not forgotten how to play football. There's just no way that a guy, because again, at the beginning of the year, he was on a torrid pace like we talked about last week. Derek Carr wouldn't be the worst, but I still don't think I'd love that. It would have to be a pretty decent trade package.
I think we should trade for Minshew.
Derek Carr.
You want to talk about let's get crazy? Let's get crazy.
The problem with Minshew, though, is he doesn't fit the style of what Seattle wants to do. He doesn't.
That's okay because we can change that style. I have no problems with it.
Not if Pete's still there. All right, right now, does Pete stay? Not if you want him to. What do you think it will actually happen? Let's start at the top. Does Allen and Vulcan stay as ownership?
I think so.
John Schneider, does he stay or go?
I think he stays.
Pete Carroll.
God.
What you actually think will happen, not what you want to happen.
I think he's probably back.
Russell Wilson.
I think he's gone.
Okay.
I do think he's the least likely of the three to be back.
Okay. I think that's
also with Schefter coming out, as you were alluding to earlier, like the league-wide sense that he wants to be gone. Somebody from Russell Wilson's circle or camp
I think
definitely.
I think it's his agent because his agent is a baseball agent, and that's what guys in baseball do. That's a baseball agent move, is to request trades and to point out teams that would be interested in going to. That's a baseball agent move through and through. And this guy, that's his only NFL client, and is Russell Wilson. And he's been Russell Wilson's agent for a long time. He came from a baseball mindset, and I think it's his agent through and through.
So you think that it's just because of his agent's background and that's how he like wields and deals as an agent? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that it doesn't actually have anything to do with Russell?
I think Wilson has mentioned some desires to him and said, hey, let's stir the pot. Not too much. I want to be separated from this. I want to still be able to come out and say, I want to be here. I hope to be here. But I want you to go out and I want you to start putting bugs in executives' ears, other agent, like whatever you need to do to make the NFL world realize that I'm interested without directly being interested. It's a baseball move.
Okay. Regardless, you're also not taking into account the Sierra factor, which I will die on the hill that is bigger than
there's
a
some
lot of
there.
Because
that
there
was
is
what
something
Coward
there
said.
for sure.
That's what Coward said a couple of years ago when the whole New York Giants rumor came up because Sierra wanted to go to a bigger market. And you look at some of the markets he said, you can see a little bit of that. Like he wants to go play for the Giants. Why?
Yeah,
it's literally just the market.
You think you have a bat in Seattle?
Literally just the market there.
The Giants just had the worst week of any NFL team.
I know, and then Joe Judge is like, don't worry, but we know.
I'm getting calls from my exes.
Yeah.
They're all like, yo, not in Texas, but wish I were with you on the team. And yeah, no, that was
weird.
awful.
It's weird right now over there in any news? Nope. It's weird over there in New York, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I had to go off my gut, ownership group stays. I think they all stay.
Wow.
But I will agree that Russell Wilson is the most likely to go if they get a competent starting quarterback coming back to Seattle, like Derek Carr. I think because they will not and you go back to what Carroll said about he and Allen are on the same terms of we don't want to do a rebuild. And what's the best way to not rebuild but to restock and reshuffle? Then trade a starting quarterback for another starting quarterback, one of it which is way better, and you still get draft capital for this year's draft, next year's draft, future year's draft. Possible.
See, the thing is, I think we're actually in a position to where if we were able to trade Wilson, I think at this point his trade value is still high enough solely based on his resume. Not so much where he stands within, the 32 NFL starting quarterbacks at this point in his career. And so I think we could actually get a quarterback that's been playing essentially what Russell Wilson has been playing like for the past 2 seasons. So
potentially, yeah.
And picks. I just want picks. I want first round picks. I want some SEC players. I want some SEC guys in the trenches. I guess Monet and Ford are pretty solid going forward.
Yeah.
But still, you'd love to have depth there, and I'm not opposed to drafting, putting assets into a better offensive line. That's for sure.
Yep.
We need a center, for Christ's sakes. Creed Humphrey, we miss you, even though we never had you.
Literally anybody. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep, I would agree. Cool. All right. Let's just move. So picks update. Right now, I'm up 4 or 5. We have to determine that. And I'll be up either 3, 4, or 6. 3 or 6.
Yes.
Depending on the results of tonight's game. You picked the Steelers. Wrong choice. That's fine.
It's Big Ben's last game.
Fine. All right, Jabronis, go ahead. What do you got for me?
I wonder. Oh, okay. Hold up. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you've shown me a video.
There's really only one.
Can't see.
It's Antonio Brown.
Was this today?
That wasn't actually him, but
that's really funny though, because that's what you could imagine happened
100%.
Since he was already taking his clothes off.
Would you like to describe the video since we cannot actually play it?
It was a naked man running.
Naked black man. You have to make it realistic. It can't be just a white guy running around.
True. Yes. It was a naked man on a sidewalk running toward a car that was parked on the sidewalk. And then he lowers his shoulder like a real NFL caliber player and just rams his shoulder right into the fender.
And he was not going slow.
He was going fast.
Yeah, he was cruising.
And he just bounced and spun off and probably dislocated his shoulder.
He attacked that car with some vigor.
Mm-hmm. It was hilarious. What did it say? It said
going home or something.
I look at Antonio Brown leaving the Jets stadium, and yep. So yeah,
So Do you have
Also, when it happened, did you realize that it wasn't pre-game? Because when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, okay, this happened in the pregame,
So-
like right before they went out for kickoff."
I knew that it happened during the game because I saw him put the spin cycle on a defensive back. So I knew it had to have happened during the
Because
game.
I didn't figure that out.
But I thought it
until-
was maybe halftime or something.
something. Yeah.
But the fact it was literally during the game, like the play clock was going down, he's walking
In
through
the third
end zone.
quarter, yeah.
Yeah, and he's walking through the end zone. Yeah, so essentially the background for any of you who hadn't seen it. We'll play the video here in a second, but happened in the third quarter. Bruce Arians, allegedly told Antonio Brown to go back in the game. He said no. He said go back into the game. Antonio Brown's like, not a chance. And Bruce Arians said, get out. And he took that literally, and he got out of the stadium during the game. Like, he literally started he took his pads off, he took his shirt off, his gloves off, tossed it in the stands, left, and there's photos of him standing outside of the stadium waiting for a driver to come pick him up. There's video of him inside of that guy who definitely looks like he's on cocaine.
So on my way over, I was listening to Part of My Take, and Part of My Take got the driver on.
Oh, my God.
And he was talking about how this guy's lost his goddamn mind because he's laughing and cheering as if he just scored 9 touchdowns in an NFL game. And he's like, do you know what? And he's like, yo, come pick me up. We're about to turn up.
Oh,
and the guy's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Like, your game's
Anyway,
still going on.
The other weird wrinkle, it was, okay, so apparently Antonio's reasoning was that he was too injured to go back in the game. And then he proceeds to jog off the field, which, I mean, if you're injured, you can still jog, whatever. And then he starts jumping up and
jumping
down
jacks
as high as he can, trying to pump up the crowd, which is, oh yeah, an away crowd. And
It worked. They got loud.
did you see he tried to get in a state trooper car to take him to
No,
the
that's
airport?
pretty funny.
And they told him to get out of here. Yeah.
Like, security was confused, too. Like, should we stop this guy?
The second half of the jabroni, though, is everybody, all the blue check marks, everybody on Twitter that's like, oh, well, we shouldn't make fun of him because he has CTE. It's like, I know it's such a gray and nebulous topic these days, mental health,
Right.
and CTE in the case of, athletes, in particular football players. So you don't want to cast too many harsh judgments because it can have an effect. However, I really do think whether he does have some form of it and it's contributing, he's been a narcissistic jackass his entire life, and I don't think it's that big of a deal to just call it like it is. If you want to blame it on CTE, so be it, but you at least have to recognize that he has been like this for the entirety of his career.
Yeah, but that hit that
Vontaze, sure.
that was wicked. Things went downhill from there.
I still think you got to hold individuals
you
responsible
definitely have
for
to hold
their
them accountable.
actions to some extent, whether they have, I mean.
Right. The only thing
That was
thing
the best
that
thing Vontaze ever did.
I was talking with a buddy about this. If he was so aggressive in an awesome way until he did stuff like this, and it's like, dude.
Are you talking about Vontaze?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what are you doing?
Yeah, we're
What
watching
are
the
you
hit
do-
right now,
Oh
the
my
playoff game in
God.
2015, and
I mean, he just ends his life.
yep, pretty much.
Ow.
Anyway.
So my thoughts, real quick. Bruce Arians and Tom Brady both said empathy toward him, that they have no regrets. It's funny that people come out and they're like, why did they even take a chance on him? Well, first off, he got a touchdown in the Super Bowl last year, but also talent outweighs everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. If a guy isn't actively in prison, he's going to get a look if he can catch a football and run very fast.
Yeah, sorry.
And
Henry Ruggs.
it's just the way it is. It's literally just the way that it is. And I wanted Seattle to sign him. I still would have liked Seattle to sign him. I don't really care. If you can play football, you can play football. And I don't care. I don't believe in the idea that distractions are actually distractions. Antonio Brown isn't a distraction to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, aside from the fact that he won't be there now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only distraction that Antonio Brown ever did, because the Bucs have been fine.
Not the way that organization and that locker room,
exactly.
that
And if you can handle
their
it,
run, yeah.
right, Seattle, it's not a distraction. It's just the way that it is. It's the culture. It's the locker room. If they can actually fully absorb it and handle it. Go ahead and play that video real quick, Sam. So.
O.J. Howard trying to convince him to keep them on. Obviously, they were unable to do so. He tossed his shoulder pads, stripped off his shirt and glove, threw those into the crowd, then ran across the field while the teams were still on the field, giving the crowd a peace out sign.
man's got no
I'll let you know
tats.
when we hear something official on his status.
Thank you, Jen. It may be an Antonio Brown out. Now, watching the behavior, unusual behavior.
To the locker room. Don't bring any more attention.
Described that he was angry.
All
Somebody
right,
tried
my
to calm
jabronis,
him
my
down. I think
first
it was
one is
Mike
the
Evans.
WSU women's basketball team. Would you like to know why?
I would love to know why.
And actually, you will appreciate this.
All right.
The Cardinal are 71-0 all time against the WSU women's basketball team.
That's
They have never lost since their first meeting in 1983.
Sounds about right.
That's horrible. The women's team is actually decent this year, and they still lost 82-44. So that's my jabroni. Just beat the team. You played them. I don't understand. They've never ever beaten Stanford since they first met.
Fear the tree.
And my actual jabroni are people. Go ahead and put out this photo of Messi real quick. And I'll give a little bit of the backstory here. So it was holiday break. Messi went home to Argentina. He went out to a club, including one at which DJ Fair Policio, not Policio, Policio, was playing as a DJ. I guess a few days before that, he attended several parties, this is the DJ, who were tested and confirmed to have positive cases. Messi gets back to Paris Saint-Germain in France, and he has COVID now, and he's on the COVID list. So there are fans, going into this DJ's mentions on Instagram and social media, sending him death threats for giving Lionel Messi COVID. The guy, obviously terrified over the death threats, had tested negative for COVID, put it on social media and said, "See, it's not me. Please don't kill me and my family." So the jabronis essentially are fans who send death threats to athletes. It just doesn't make any sense. My buddy Craig, actually, he needed Kamara to have a good game last week in order to advance to the finals of our fantasy football playoffs. And he needed Kamara to outscore Tua by 5 or something, and it didn't happen, of course. So he sent Ian Book a DM on Instagram, not threatening to kill him, but just saying how much he sucks and how much Notre Dame sucks, and that he should never play football again for as long as he lives. That's funny. If you do it that way, that's just good family fun. You just shouldn't send death threats. You're looking to start something. You're going to have a bad time with it. So essentially, Messi shouldn't have gone clubbing in the first place, but whatever. I don't care. It's a free. I was going to say it's a free country, but Argentina is not a free country, really. So that's the way that it is. All right, this day in sports history. We've actually got a couple interesting ones here. This day in 1920, the Red Sox owner Harry Frazee announced an agreement to sell Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees for $125,000 in cash and a $350,000 loan. It was the beginning of the 84-year curse of the Bambino.
Yep.
Started this day 102 years ago. Wow. This day in 73, a 12-man syndicate led by Michael Burke and George Steinbrenner III buys the Yankees from CBS for $10 million. So first off, I didn't realize that CBS owned the Yankees.
Same.
And second off, they got absolutely hosed.
Yeah, they did.
$10 million. 1973. Let's see if I can find inflation, what that's worth today. So $10 million is about $60 million today. They got hosed. They still got hosed at $60 million. So that's pretty interesting. In 1993. The comeback happened. Quarterback Frank Reich led the Bills back from a 32-point deficit to defeat the Oilers 41-38 in overtime in a wild-card playoff game, the greatest comeback ever in NFL history. And this day in 2007, Alabama's dynasty returns when Nick Saban resigns from the Miami Dolphin head coaching job and returns to college football to take the head coaching job at Alabama.
Wow.
And that began Alabama's reign. All right, closing time. Go ahead.
LeBron's back.
Love it.
Yeah, I know. It's been a few weeks. In classic LeBron fashion, I mean, this story and this idea of him playing with Bronny, that once Bronny gets to the NBA, if he even gets to the NBA, it's been out there for years, and that's not an exaggeration. I think it's been at least 2 years that the idea of this has been put out there. So the fact that he is now finally choosing to say something about it means that he felt currently in his life he wasn't getting enough attention, that sports fans were kind of looking elsewhere, maybe not the NBA because it's January, and maybe at college football and the NFL, but that's America. And so he just thought he'd throw that out there so that the Bleacher Reports, so that the Sports Centers, ESPNs, all those people could just absolutely stand march themselves. Yeah. And
it happened. It did.
This is just on LeBron topic.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember that basketball team he coached a good number of years ago?
Say that again. I actually didn't hear.
Do you remember that basketball, like the AAU team he coached a good number of years ago?
Yeah.
I saw this video, like where some of those kids are now, because they're all, getting to the point where they're about to like graduate a couple years away.
Yeah.
All have like Duke offers, Kansas offers, like huge offers. It was interesting, but like a good number of them have very notable offers to come play for their school for basketball.
I mean, that's actually not surprising at all. Especially, you think LeBron's going to coach an AAU team that, is
yeah. One of them has an offer for both basketball and football from
classic Jalen Suggs moment.
Anthony Edwards, yeah. Well,
2 years ago.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, wow, I forgot that he did that, and they were all.
I also forgot about
very
that.
good.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Jalen Suggs announced his commitment to GU. He verbally committed.
And he did everything, won a national championship, and we'll remember him for the rest of our lives.
Almost. Oh, I did forget to mention, GU's on a COVID pause still. Did you see their game on Thursday also was canceled or postponed against San Francisco? Super unfortunate because WCC actually might be semi-competitive, and they're missing out on these opportunities. But I guess they're going to be moving to 3-a-week schedules, like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games.
Wow.
That's going to be a lot of basketball. That's going to make them tired. All right, I forgot that Windermere Services Mountain West is also very, very good. We love to talk about them because they proudly service over 60 Windermere offices. 60 Windermere offices in Eastern Washington, Idaho, Eastern Oregon, and Montana. They are all in for their local communities. At Windermere Services Mountain West, relationships are the foundation of their business. Their mission is to be successful, team-oriented real estate professionals committed to exceeding expectations through exceptional customer service. They are Windermere. Windermere Services Mountain West is committed to the communities in which they live and work. They are all in for us.
And they don't support meteorologists.
They also are anti-meteorologists, unless you're buying a house. Then they're pro-meteorologists.
That's a fact.
All right, my closing time here. Go ahead and put that photo up there, Samuel. That would be nice. So this was a Kraken versus the Vancouver Canucks game on October 23rd. And this was the guy there in the blue shirt is Brian Red Hamilton, and he is the assistant equipment manager for the Canucks. And he just happened to be working the bench, which isn't super common for assistant equipment managers. That lady behind him there in the blue with the blue hat is a med student. She's a Kraken fan, and she got his attention and went to her note app on her iPhone and texted, "The mole on the back of your neck is possibly cancerous. Please go see a doctor." And you can see him there giving her the thumbs up. It happens that that was a cancerous mole that was, let's see here. Yeah, it was malignant. It was a malignant melanoma, meaning the cancer cells had not penetrated the second layer of skin, but would have been very bad had he not gotten them checked out. So essentially, Kraken and the Canucks came together, gave this med student a $10,000 scholarship to help with their schooling.
Go them.
That's pretty cool.
That's like
It's like a nice, like an actual feel-good story.
That's a really cool thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best part about the story is neither one of us can like say that's stupid or like that's bad.
Like every bit of that story is wholesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Every second of that story, it's, hey, go get this checked out. Oh, I didn't even know that was there. Gets it checked out. Ends up being
that's like a hallmark movie.
And the best part,
the fact that they found her and were like, hey, thank you for this.
The best part is 2 days ago, Brian Hamilton came out and put a message out on the Canucks Twitter page and said, essentially, I'm trying to find you. I want to thank you. You're awesome. Everybody retweeted it. They found out who it was. And just so I can put her name out there, Nadia Popovici, 22-year-old graduate from UW and future med student. Yep.
You know she's throwing that on her resume when she goes to
right. Oh yeah, she's gonna go. She's gonna get into a lot of different places.
That is really cool though. That's a great story.
God, you're welcome. Look at me.
Look at you.
You came in weird this morning.
Yeah,
you're ended the day on a real wholesome note, which is a little strange for you.
It is. Yeah, you're welcome.
I like it.
Soul searching.
You're welcome. I have jury duty next week, so we might not be able to do this.
Dude, I was so thankful I got out of that because of COVID last year. It was awesome.
I was. Did you? Okay, we'll talk later. But yeah, I have COVID next week.
You have COVID next. He's planning to get COVID next week. That's good to know.
Man,
you're out of it today.
I have jury duty.
And we
week.
just complimented him. We're just like,
I
hey,
know. I
good
should have
shit.
just
Way to pull it
stopped.
together.
Yeah, you really
note.
went one step too far.
Yep, that one is unfortunate. So
we'll not have a show next week because Jovin's going to have the cocoa.
Yeah, potentially have jury duty, depending
Just
on
let
how
me
long
know.
I have to be there. So we'll see. Hopefully I get a cool case. Hopefully it's a murder case.
Well, if it's a murder case, you could be gone for months.
I would love to send someone to prison for a long time.
I actually bet that would
Weird.
do great things for you.
I would feel so good.
No, I know that would.
That'd be a better story than this cancerous mole.
No, okay, no. Yeah.
Nah, it's a stretch.
Yep.
All right, there we go. So we'll see if we'll see you next week or not, but have a great rest of your week and enjoy the snow that's finally falling.
Yeah, except for meteorologists. We hope you have a bad week. But we hope you return to having normal weeks after that.
Exactly.
I think we should put together at some point all the people that
we've like disavowed as a podcast.
that you've offended. We got meteorologists. We got LeBron James.
If this show goes on long enough, it'll be everyone other than myself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
very true.
pretty
And I will be self-deprecating in that as well.
Exactly. All right. See you guys later.